I was sickened by the standing ovation. I felt like Hollywood is just spineless, en masse. And it really felt like, oh, this is a really clear indication that we're not the cool club anymore.
I'm not a saint, that I am a work in progress, but I will not be held hostage by my past.
Blake Lively, guys, is mentioned in the Epstein files, and it's not looking good for her at all.
Jeffrey Epstein's contact list boasted some big names in Hollywood. Alec Baldwin, Mick Jagger, and Michael Jackson, just some of the high-profile people uncovered in newly released documents from the Justice Department.
Actually, I could fly back early on the 3rd. We will be in St. Bart's. We should head to your island on the 2nd. Yeah. That's from Elon Musk.
Talking of all that stuff I said in the show was true. I said, oh, I'm going to write my own jokes. Right? And I thought, who do I pander to? The 200 richest people in the room, or the 200 million people watching at home who aren't winning awards, who aren't millionaires? And it was a no-brainer.
Those faces didn't all come from the same movie, but they did end up in the same story. A story that runs through Epstein's Florida conviction in 2008, his early release in 2009, his second arrest in 2019, and the hundreds of pages. The Department of Justice finally dumped online years later. Pages filled with emails, guest lists, and FBI tips that mention celebrities by name. Tonight isn't about proving every rumor true. It's about lining up what we know. The convictions, the emails, the court documents with the people Hollywood told you to worship, and the comedians who stopped clapping long before the rest of us saw the paperwork. And the first thing you need to understand is this. Jim Carrey and Ricky Gervais didn't suddenly turn on Hollywood because of one bad award show. They've been watching this pattern build for years. In 2022, right after Will Smith walked on stage and slapped Chris Rock at the Oscars, the industry did what it always does. It dressed the moment up as complicated, handed out a standing ovation, and tried to move on. Jim Carrey watched that happen after decades of watching Hollywood close ranks around far worse behavior, casting couch horror stories, open secrets about PRS, and now a global scandal with Epstein's name on it. And he finally said what a lot of people inside the system were too scared to say out loud.
I was sickened. I was sickened by the standing ovation. I felt like Hollywood is just spineless, en masse. And it really felt like, oh, this is a really clear indication that we're not the cool club anymore.
There was some question today about if anyone else had walked from the audience and done that, they would have been escorted out by security or maybe even arrested. The police asked Chris if he wanted to file charges. They asked Chris, do you want to file charges? And Chris apparently said no, he did not.
He doesn't want the hassle. I'd announced this morning that I was suing Will for $200 million because that video is going to be there forever. It's going to be ubiquitous. You know, that insult is going to last a very long time. If you want to yell from the audience and disapprove or show a disapproval or say something on Twitter or whatever, you do not have the right to walk up on stage and smack somebody in the face because they said words.
No, I agree. I think we all agree on that. I just thought, Jim, that it escalated to that. You know what I mean? That it escalated to that level.
It didn't escalate. It came out of nowhere because Will has something going on inside him that's frustrated, and I wish him the best. I really do. I don't have anything against Will Smith. He's done great things. But that was not a good moment. It cast a pall over everybody's shining moment last night. You know, a lot of people worked really hard to get to that place and to have their moment in the sun and to get their award for the really hard work they did. And it is no mean feat to go through all the stuff you have to go through when you're nominated for an Oscar. It's a gauntlet of devotion that you have to do. And it was just a selfish moment that cast a pall over the whole thing.
Remember, this is a man who has been famous since the 90s, who's seen the Weinstein era, the #MeToo wave, and now the Epstein files. When he uses words like sickened and spineless, he's not just reacting to one slap. He's reacting to 30 years of watching this town protect itself. And it's not just the big scandals. Jim's been side-eyeing the whole performance for a long time. The red carpets, the charity galas, the "we're changing the world" speeches given by people who spend their off-camera hours at the same private parties as billionaires under investigation.
I'm doing just fine. I just, there's no meaning to any of this. So I wanted to find the most meaningless thing that I could come to and join, and here I am.
They're celebrating.
You got to admit, it's completely meaningless.
Well, they say they're celebrating icons inside.
Celebrating
Do you believe
icons.
in
Boy, that is just the absolute lowest aiming, possibility that we could come up with. It's like icons. Do you believe in icons? I don't believe in personalities. I don't believe that you exist, but there is a wonderful fragrance in the air.
You don't believe certain icons have the power to make change, to think differently, to be bold, to inspire others? Artistry? You're one of them.
On the good foot. Ha! Yeah. You shut it down now. Yeah, no, I don't believe in icons. I don't believe in personalities. I believe that peace lies beyond personality, beyond invention and disguise, beyond the red that you wear on your chest that makes bullets bounce off. I believe that it's deeper than that. I believe we're a field of energy dancing for itself. And I don't care.
But Jim, you got really dressed up for the occasion. You look good.
No, I didn't. Was
that an accident?
I didn't get dressed up.
Who did?
There is no me.
There's no you.
No.
We're not here. This is a dream?
There's just things happening. And there are clusters of tetrahedrons moving around together.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what's happening in our world right now? Because there is a lot of news that actually is relevant that's not that
Here's
uplifting.
the thing. It's not our world.
None of this is real?
Nope.
So you're just passing
We don't
through.
matter. We don't matter.
Oh, wow.
There's the good news.
Okay.
The timing matters here. While Jim is laughing in reporters' faces and calling these events meaningless, Epstein has already done his first prison stint in Florida, already been labeled a offender, and is quietly rebuilding his network through the same social circles, the same planes, the same dinner tables. So, when the 2025 to 2026 document releases finally show us bits of those guest lists and inboxes, Jim's contempt suddenly has receipts. He wasn't just being weird. He was one of the only people willing to say that the whole scene felt rotten. Now take all of that quiet disgust and imagine putting it on a teleprompter in front of the most powerful celebrities on Earth. That's what Ricky Gervais did at the Golden Globes in January 2020. By that point, Epstein was already dead in a Manhattan cell. His first conviction was more than a decade old. Names like Jay-Z and Diddy were already being dragged into court filings. And yet, the people in that room were still acting like they were the moral authorities.
Most of you spent less time in school than Greta Thunberg. So, if you win, right, come up, accept your little award, thank your agent and your God, and off, okay? So, it's already 3 hours long. He obviously didn't himself, just like Jeffrey Epstein. Shut up. I know he's your friend, but I don't care.
He's not talking in a vacuum. He's talking after Epstein's first conviction. After flight logs are already public. After the world has seen the photos of that island and that townhouse and those massage rooms, Ricky is looking at a room that has flown on those jets, been to those palaces, taken those meetings, and he's saying, you don't get to preach to anyone anymore. And here's the part that hits different now. When the latest round of files came out, and we saw just how many entertainers, models, and billionaires were in Epstein's orbit after his 2008 conviction, it turned Ricky's jokes into timestamps. He wasn't just roasting Hollywood, he was marking the years we all looked the other way. So, from here on out, we're going to do what almost nobody in that room ever did. Stop pretending we don't remember. We're going to take the names rumor hunters have obsessed over for years. Naomi Campbell, Blake Lively, Elon Musk, Tom Hanks, and more. And line them up against the timeline, the convictions, the emails, the tips, and the carefully crafted interviews. And we'll start with the supermodel whose name shows up in those files more than 200 times. Naomi Campbell has spent 3 decades on the world's biggest runways. But the documents show another runway most people never saw, a path from luxury fashion parties straight into Jeffrey Epstein's network.
Epstein's Black Book of Contacts, arguably now one of the most infamous contact books in the world, contain many names, but only a few names are circled. Naomi Campbell, Janice Dixon, and Chris Royer also appear in this Black Book. Campbell's not only listed in Epstein's Black Book and also owns the Epstein-connected Victoria's Secret, much for their commercial success, she is also intimately connected to one of the few untouchable figures around Epstein that was even flagged by Epstein's own butler as being very much involved with knowledge of this criminal enterprise. And his name is Flavio Briatore, who Naomi Campbell basically dated for quite a while. And I think it's very convenient that she ended up having this relationship with this man who also had yachts and allowed her to have birthdays on these yachts. And I thought that, you know, they claim it was a former friend, but I think that this was a very convenient relationship that basically happened, and Naomi needed to do so in that moment because she knew that, you know, it was great for her career to be with these very powerful men or father figures, which is what she normally saw it as, which is probably why she likes much more older men.
Here's what the files actually show. Naomi met Epstein in 2001 at her own birthday party in St. Trope after he was invited by her then boyfriend, billionaire Flavio Briatore. In the years that followed, she invited Epstein to multiple A-list events, her 2004 party in St. Trope, a Dolce & Gabbana celebration in Paris, and even a charity event for children in Moscow. Flight logs and emails confirm he attended some of these events, and that she flew on his plane several times. Victims later told investigators they met Naomi at Epstein's homes and on his island, and that he even used her name to convince teenage girls that a modeling career was waiting for them. On paper, these aren't just father figures. They're convicted ex-offenders and billionaires with heinous accusations using a supermodel's world as a recruiting ground. And when you realize how many of those glamorous events doubled as access points for a pred, Jim Carr's disgust with the red carpet circus hits a lot harder. Remember when Jim mocked the Hollywood charity gala, and the world called him crazy? Well, turns out he files back him up for men like Epstein. Naomi's parties weren't decorations, they were leverage. Once those connections started getting exposed in the press, Naomi did what almost every A-list crisis team tells their client to do. Get in front of a camera, admit just enough, and insist you didn't know what was really going on.
Yes, I knew him. I was introduced to him on my 31st birthday by my ex-boyfriend Flavio. He was always front and center at Victoria's Secret shows.
Did you suspect what he was doing?
No. And what he's done is indefensible. And when I heard of what he'd done, it sickened me to my stomach, just like everybody else. Because I've had my fair share of predators. And thank God that I had good people around me that protected me from this. I mean, right now I stand with the victims. They're scarred for life.
Here's the part people forget. Epstein was convicted in Florida in 2008 and put on the SO registry. But the newly released files show his connection with Naomi didn't just end there. He's still being invited to her A-list parties, flying in her circle, and showing up in emails and call sheets years later. One review of the document says her name comes up well over 100 times across messages, guest lists, and interviews, sometimes as repeats, but always as part of the same orbit. Her team says she only understood the full truth in 2019 and cut him off. The timeline in the file suggests their social link survived long past that first 2008 conviction. And that gap is exactly where conspiracy people move in. And when you watch her calmly say she didn't know. While the emails show Epstein still getting invitations from her side, it's hard not to hear Ricky Gervais in the background calling that entire room and frauds. Once you see how that works, the glamorous events, the I didn't know interviews, the timeline that doesn't quite match, it gets a lot harder to trust any polished Hollywood statement, which is why the next name on this list hits even harder. Someone the industry sold as the safe, protective big sister. While her own guest list raised questions of their own, Blake Lively wasn't just marketed as a movie star. She was marketed as the safe one. The neighbor, the mom, the woman giving speeches about protecting kids from the worst people on the internet. And that's exactly why the files and the footage around her feel so unsettling.
For those of you that might be split on this Baldoni saga between her and him and everything that is going on with it, I do suggest you look into these files and look into the fact that her name is mentioned, and not just randomly in websites and media pop-up clicks, but actually mentioned in a pretty weird this video where she is mentioned, guys, in a specific invitation in 2013, which is years after Epstein was convicted, but yet still Blake wants to be working, you know, with anti-trafficking situations, very similar to Ashton Kutcher. They want to be, you know, the public face on the pedestal, make speeches and talk about how children are in danger, and definitely want to, you know, follow through with letting people know that they actually want to do the work, when clearly that isn't the case from what I'm thinking. But there is a specific 2013 invitation to Epstein for the 25th anniversary of the New York Observer, and this to me, guys, is deeply concerning because Epstein was invited to the event years after he actually had been convicted in Florida, after he was actually registered. Blake Lively's name, guys, appears amongst a list of individuals inviting Epstein to this must-see celebration and party after he was convicted. Now, if you look at this email, you can see that Blake Lively obviously isn't the only person that was listed, but at the same time, everybody knew that he was an offender at this moment of time. And I think that these social events, these parties, they create this kind of elite atmosphere, you can say, where there are numerous people invited to these social events, where there is a tolerance to this behavior, where there's powerful men or people convicted of crimes, and we're just meant to ignore it. And I do feel like Blake was somebody who either connected to IMG, connected to these, you know, big ads where she used to do stuff for modeling gigs and etc. Could be somebody very similar to Heidi and Naomi, where both of them have also been accused of basically being madams or grooming or bringing people into a conversation, and she probably was used to that influence or even seeing that influence, and that is how she learned herself, and therefore demonstrated that influence when it came to the movie and Baldoni, and thought that she could do whatever she wants because she has all of these famous friends and she has all of the money and the coin, and therefore she can be quite dominant in these fields because she continuously goes to these elite social class events.
Here's the context that matters. Epstein was already a SO in Florida by 2008. He'd done his sweetheart deal. He was supposed to be radioactive. And yet in the DOJ material and the event logs people are now poring over, you see the same pattern. His name tucked into guest list flight social class events, the kind Blake was constantly orbiting. The commentary you just heard is based on those logs and accompanying emails showing Epstein still getting invited into rooms full of stars and studio power players, even after everyone knew exactly what his conviction was for. When JimCarrey shrugs off those glamorous nights and calls them meaningless, this is the subtext. If you follow the guest lists and the email chains, the rooms that look like fairy tales on Instagram start to read like spreadsheets for damage control.
In America, in the United Kingdom, across the globe. And we need to be clear, shamelessness is not and will never be a superpower. It is the mark of a villain. Kidnapping children is not what great nations do. Almost half of America at this moment believes there is a sinister deep state diabolically plotting to what? We in America are misinformed. Reality shows have warped our idea of what a hero is, or what the truth is.
And it isn't just one man. One of the most telling moments in Blake's timeline didn't happen on a jet or an island. It happened on TV after the Harvey Weinstein story finally broke open, and everyone was being asked what they knew.
Now, another bizarre connection Blake has in Hollywood is Harvey Weinstein. They write Harvey Weinstein's reign as a Hollywood power player was enabled by years of complicity from those in the industry, and Blake Lively's relationship with him raises eyebrows. Like when there were a bunch of people coming out and speaking against Harvey Weinstein, she decided it was the right time to say that she never had any inappropriate interactions with him before, and to state that he was a decent guy.
Like, while we have you here, I want to ask you about this avalanche of information that's coming out about Harvey Weinstein, because the question is, I mean, you're in the industry. How do you think Hollywood moves on from this point? How do you think it can seize this moment and turn it into something positive?
I think it's important that we acknowledge that this isn't just Hollywood. This is so much more global, and it's not just, oh, guess what? This is what's happening to women suddenly. This has been happening since the beginning of time, but now people are finally talking about it. And I think that that's what's important, is that where I never had experiences like this with Harvey myself. I only had positive ones with him, but that goes to show where, you know, you don't always see what's going on behind closed doors. So I think that when people come forward, that that your bosses, you have to acknowledge it. You know, there have been moments where I've come forward, where other people have come forward with things that just feel little and you're not sure. But when your bosses tell you that this is not a priority to them, then you think, okay, well then this must not be that big of a deal. Maybe what I'm complaining about isn't really that big of a deal. And it is.
Now, I understand she's trying to stay on the right side of everything, but it also seems like she's doing damage control. Harvey was reportedly one of Blake's biggest champions. He campaigned for her to star in The Great Gatsby remake alongside Leonardo DiCaprio. Ultimately, the role went to Carey Mulligan. Although the collaboration didn't materialize, the public support from Harvey Weinstein casts a shadow over her career trajectory. It makes you question, how much did she benefit from working with Harvey Weinstein, and how many people on her team are connected to this man? I mean, he's locked up, but he was really a big part of Hollywood, so he doesn't fully escape.
Blake doesn't attack the victims. She doesn't defend the crimes, but she does exactly what this system always does at first. Narrow the frame to her own experience, protect her image, and avoid saying anything that might cost her access in the rooms where careers are made. It's the kind of moment Ricky Jett was talking about at the Golden Globes. The same people who sat quietly through years of rumors are the ones who step up to the mic and tell you what's moral, what's real, and who deserves a second chance.
All that stuff I said in the show was true. I said, I'm going to write my own jokes, right? And I thought, who do I pander to? The 200 richest people in the room, or the 200 million people watching at home who aren't winning awards, who aren't millionaires? And it was a no-brainer. I was doing it
Models and actresses you can write off as Hollywood drama if you want. But when the files and emails start touching the so-called smartest man alive, people stop scrolling and start reading.
One of those names is the world's richest man, Elon Musk. He's always denied any close relationship with Jeffrey Epstein, but they exchanged numerous emails trying to arrange a visit for Musk to Epstein's island in the Caribbean. In one of them, Musk goes on to write this: "What day, night will be the wildest party on your island?" Now, Musk has addressed those allegations directly on X. He wrote, "No one pushed harder than me to have the Epstein files released, and I'm glad that has finally happened. I had very little correspondence with Epstein and declined repeated invitations to go to his island or fly on his Lolita Express, but was well aware that some email correspondence with him could be misinterpreted and used by detractors to smear my name. I don't care about that, but what I do care about is that we at least attempt to prosecute those who committed serious crimes with Epstein, especially regarding heinous exploitation of underage girls."
Officially, here's what's on paper. Elon Musk's name appears in the newly released material as someone Epstein tried to get close to and possibly met. There are mentions in emails in the archive. There are no criminal charges from that mention alone. But for a lot of people, seeing Musk and Epstein files in the same sentence is enough to crack the genius mythology. Because once you stop looking at him as a superhero and start looking at him as another name in an inbox, the story gets a lot less magical.
Actually, I could fly back early on the 3rd. We will be in St. Bart's. We should head to your island on the 2nd.
Yeah.
That's from Elon Musk.